My next guest led the independent counsel investigation into President Bill Clinton, starting with Whitewater and ending with Clinton's impeachment about lying in the Monica Lewinsky affair. Former independent counsel and former Solicitor General Ken Starr joins me now. Sir, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
So talk to, you listen to Ed's setup piece and you hear all of this that is popping tonight with regard to McCabe and with regard to what the president has been told about the Michael Cohen investigation in New York. What jumps out at you in all of this?
One key element, I believe, is that the president has been told, again, he's not a target. And this from the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. So that's pure gold. Of course, things could change because the facts aren't all in. The second thing is that the Inspector General, who is a career official at the Justice Department, has made this criminal referral. That's a very important step. It's a dangerous step, obviously, for Mr. McCabe, but it shows that these guardrails are working. That is, these accountability mechanisms, as Director Comey said in the lead, are in fact in place. And I think that should be a great assurance to the American people. The third thing that jumps out at me is that the president has hired a brilliant lawyer. Of course, everybody knows that America's mayor is a lawyer, but I'll tell you this, based on my personal experience with Rudy Giuliani, there's probably no better lawyer in the United States to handle this kind of very high-profile situation.
Very interesting. I want to zero in for a moment on Andrew McCabe and James Comey, because they're kind of going at each other here, and the president just said as much in the tweet that he put out. He felt that James Comey had thrown Andrew McCabe under the bus. But what Andrew McCabe has been criminally referred to for is lying to FBI investigators about releasing information, acting as a source and then saying he didn't to a story in the Wall Street Journal. Now, we know that when Chuck Grassley asked FBI Director Comey at the time whether or not he had ever been a source for any information that went out to the press on this investigation, he said never. And he said never twice. And then he came back and said, well, I did leak information to a friend of mine because I wanted to get it out there to start a special counsel. What do you make of that?
It's extraordinarily serious. First of all, lying to Congress, like lying to the FBI, like lying under oath, and he was under oath when he was testifying before Congress, is an extremely serious thing. It's a potential felony.
But he says he was a private citizen at the time. When asked about this, he said, well, I was a private citizen. I was just sharing some information with a friend.
No, but he was carrying information that he received in his, or created in his capacity as director of the FBI. He just can't do that. It's totally inconsistent with the FBI's conduct, its ethical constraints, and the Office of Professional Responsibility, FBI, I think, would confirm this. You don't leak. You don't get documents out of FBI headquarters at the Hoover building and start sharing them directly or indirectly with a reporter. So it's a very serious breach of what the FBI stands for, which is integrity. And so both Mr. McCabe and Mr. Comey really have a lot to answer for now.
And we expect that we're going to get the full Inspector General's report, which will go back and look at the decisions that were made in the Hillary Clinton investigation by former FBI Director James Comey. He doesn't seem to be worried about that at all right now, but clearly that is part of the subject of this ongoing investigation. I do want to ask you about this Michael Cohen matter a bit, because this is an investigation that sort of began with Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia. Now it has gone sort of down the chain, and it should be pointed out that the federal investigators sort of kicked this part of it up to New York and said there are financial issues that we're concerned with Michael Cohen, and it appears tonight that is with Michael Cohen and not with the president, at least based on what we know so far. But is this an investigation that has gone too far away from its original mission? And Stormy Daniels is, sort of become the new Monica Lewinsky, one would say.
Well, except there's the enormous difference here is The Lewinsky phase of the investigation I was charged with was about lying under oath and encouraging others to lie under oath.
Right.
It was about the abuse of power. So it's a totally different kettle of fish. But the Cohen thing is very troubling to me. Anytime that a lawyer's office is raided, I believe all Americans should be concerned about that. What's the justification? Now, there was a safeguard in place. There was judicial review. But I'm very concerned about the process that's going to be followed to protect the attorney-client privilege, which is sacrosanct in American law, and it should be. It's one of the most important elements to protect the liberties of the people. So I'm very concerned. The jury's out, but I think everyone should be concerned about the process and to make sure that the process is carried out now with great care and sensitivity to individual liberty.
I want to squeeze in one more question about Michael Flynn, because I can only imagine what he thinks when he looks at all of this information about Andrew McCabe and potentially even James Comey. Definitely McCabe, according to this report, lying to investigators. That's exactly what he was accused of.
Well, that's right. I think one of the things that has been brought home in the Mueller investigation with different guilty pleas, a recent sentencing, don't lie. Tell the truth to investigators, and it's all the more important when you go before a grand jury. Just don't lie. Tell the truth. We have a protection. It's called the Fifth Amendment privilege. Don't lie. If you can't keep from lying without incriminating or inculpating yourself, just say, I'm going to invoke the Fifth Amendment. It's a great constitutional protection.
Yeah, good advice. Ken Starr, thank you. A pleasure to have you here tonight, sir. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.